Hello, hello. So, what's up, everyone? And we have a really special guest over here, Jose actually, and he actually started his business back in April 2024, and now he's off to like really crazy things. And I will be like interviewing Jose. And Jose, so what's kind of your background? What made you like start your business in April, and what's the backstory over here?
Yeah, so hello guys, my name is Jose. Own a painting business here in Seattle, Washington. A little bit more about myself is I have always been an entrepreneur. I always wanted to be a business owner, and I had two failed businesses before. What made me start my own business is I worked for a previous painting company as a salesperson. So my job was to go out there and do estimates and close jobs. And I slowly realized how I can convert this into my own business myself, and how I can make this into a successful business with ideas that I had, and how I would change things. And yeah, so that's kind of how what made me want to start Refine Painting. And we were able to sell $1 million worth of revenue in just 9 months, 8 to 9 months into the business, which was amazing. But yeah, that's a little bit more about us.
That's amazing. Like honestly, I was going over your story a little bit, and it was really crazy to me, like how you just started, and like I was looking into it, and like how you was not able to like close any deals in the beginning, and then you just had to make the switch, right? And then you just started making some like really crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, so in the beginning, we did have a very slow start. And what happened was I had joined a program. If you're in the painting industry, it's Justin Georgopoulos. He owns a door-to-door program where he shows you how to like build your own team. And obviously, prior to having a team, it was me door knocking. So I was out there door knocking in the wintertime, trying to get estimates. Doors slammed on me, and we had a slow start. And then it just required me putting more work into the door to door, and we were able to get more business. And then we just kept repeating, and yeah, that's allowed us to be where we're at right now.
So
So
what
yeah.
do you think is like I'll ask a little bit more questions into door to door. So before that, like what do you think is like really important in terms of like mentorship? Because like mentorship is not much promoted and not much important in terms of people's eyes. So what do you think that why did you want to go towards mentorship?
A mentorship for me is something that I tell people to invest in all the time. At first, it was something that I'm like, why am I going to pay someone to teach me how to do this when I already know what to do? But what you're paying for is the guidance, and you're paying for the mistakes that someone else made, and you're saving the time and the money that it costs them to make those mistakes. So I always tell people that if you're going to hire a mentor, that you make sure you hire someone who's done exactly what you want to do, because oftentimes you'll hire someone who is selling a course or selling a program or they're selling mentorship and have never done what you want them to do, or what you want to do. So it is very important that you do your due diligence before hiring your own mentor. And that's one of the biggest things that I tell everybody. I do recommend people getting their own mentor. For me, Justin helped me out tremendously. So when I did sign on at the time, it was a number that I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I could afford this. Um, and yeah, I went ahead and he worked with me, and I went ahead and took a risk on myself and on Justin, and I'm glad I did it, because if it wasn't for that, I don't think I'd be here right now. So
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. Like most people are like really comfortable if let's say they're making a good amount of money or a decent amount of money. But if you want to like scale things, you have to take risk and you have to invest in something that's going to feel like a lot at that time. And then later on you will see like that you investing in that thing only made a huge difference in your business. So how do you think like you counter like seasonality in like a business like painting? Because let's say you will have some rainy days as well where you might not be able to paint, or how do you counter things like that?
So I think so we live in Seattle. If you don't know much about Seattle, it rains here all the time. Like 9 months out of 12 it rains, which is horrible. It's always gray. They say that when people first move here, it's very easy for them to get depressed. So one of the things that I always tell people when they start their painting company in an area where they have seasons, like here in Seattle, is, for example, for us, right? Exterior season is only 2 3 months that you can actually paint in. So why are you marketing when you're using your ads, when you're doing whatever other marketing avenues that you have? Why are you marketing exterior painting projects, right? You should be marketing interior painting projects. So that's more than half of your year of work that you're doing is going to be interior. So I think it's just really understanding the market that you're in. And once you understand the market that you're in, you want to make sure that you're advertising your business for that way. So that's how we've been able to kind of keep ourselves busy throughout this winter season, is just making sure that we're advertising and offering obviously incentives for homeowners for them to let us paint their interior projects in the winter season. So I think as a business owner, you should really look out for those things and understand what your business is, what your business needs are, and what you're able to do in order for you to keep your guys busy.
Makes sense. So,
Yeah.
what do you think? Like, let's say you invested in like door-to-door coaching or maybe mentorship. So, what tips will you give, or maybe some ways that you will give for like door-to-door, especially for an industry like painting?
For me, I think the main thing when it comes to door to door is recording yourselves. A lot of people don't look at themselves in the mirror enough. And what I get at that is when you're training a script or anything in general, like if you're in sales, you have to learn the script, right? There's some script that each company gives you. And you want to make sure that you're doing it and training in front of a mirror so you can see when you smile, when you don't smile. Oh, hey, I notice when I say this, I'm more serious. For me, I'm more of a natural serious person naturally. I'm just a more serious guy. So for me, the biggest thing was making sure that I was smiling enough, right? So now in videos and stuff, you'll catch me smiling. Before that wasn't a thing. Until again, I put myself in front of the mirror and be like, and was like, oh my God, how am I going to sell anything if I'm just serious all the time, right? It's not going to do anything for me. So I think that's one of the biggest things, understanding your facial expressions, because when you're at the door, you only have 5, 6 seconds for you to make an impression, right? And if you're not selling yourself at the door in those 5, 6, 7 seconds, they're going to close the door on you. So it's very important that you're smiling and that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Another thing is obviously recording yourselves. So that way, when you're door knocking, you're able to hear what you're saying. A lot of people, they'll just go out and door knock and they're like, oh my God, I'm having bad luck, or like nobody wants painting done, right? And it's like, no, what are you saying? Like what can you go back and listen to and change? What can you change? For most of our door-to-door reps, we train on a daily basis, and even though we train on a daily basis, and after some time, there's only so much you can really train as far as to learn the script. So usually, what it is, it's little things. So it may be your body language, or it might be the way that you pause here, and then it might be just something, a word that you say in general. So I think it's just always working on yourself and training, recording yourself, making sure that you look great, presentable. I think if you continue those things, it will allow you to fast on your process when it comes to door to door.
That's something I also do, like in terms of like doing sales call. Whenever I record them and I watch them afterwards, so that's something I do. But this is a really good way, like you mentioned, like watching yourself saying things in the mirror. So that's
Yeah,
something I might start doing. So that's really amazing advice right over there. So like yourself, you have started out in like August 2024, and from there you scaled your company to like $1 million. You're really close to that, or maybe you have already hit that, and you
yeah,
have already hired like 40 plus peoples, right? So what do you think is the key to hiring right people for right roles? Because of course there are going to be people that are going to like leave you in the middle of times out of nowhere. There are going to be some sick leaves or whatnot. So how do you think like people should go about hiring the right people for their business?
yeah. So I think one of the biggest things when hiring is it's I think Ismail Valdez says this. It's all in the hiring process, right? The way you hire them on is the way that they're going to perform throughout their time with you. And one of the biggest things that I stand by when I'm hiring people is I want to make sure they learn as much as possible, that they understand as much product knowledge that they can possibly know, so they can have a better time here at Refine Painting. Obviously, all of our positions here at Refine Painting are paid on performance, so we want to make sure that they get as many tools as they can possibly get, so they can be successful here. So oftentimes people are when they hire someone on, they're scared to teach them or show them things about the business because oh, he's going to start his own business. And they're like, well, Jose, like, what are you going to do if they leave? But it's like kind of thinking things differently, be like, well, what happens if they don't leave, right? If you teach them anything and they don't leave and you create an environment for them, you pay them well, they're just going to do it better. And the company does better, obviously, if they do better. So for me, the best way of being able to have a low turnover rate, which is, people leaving, is just making sure that we're the top paying in our area, which we are. Um, and then making sure that we have a great culture. So I'm making sure that everybody enjoys coming to work. If you have to dread coming to work, that's not a company that you want to work for, and that's not a company that I want to have as well. So I think just having a good work environment and making sure that you're allowing them to make a great living. So that's very important because a lot of people pay, but oftentimes if you pay them a little bit of money because maybe you can't afford to pay them more, well, guess what? Now they have to get a second job. So now they're not, all their attention is not on Refine Painting. It's on two different companies. You know what I mean? So it's very important that you pay them a livable wage so they want to come to work and they want to work for Refine Painting.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
again, that's something I agree with as well. Like when I was hiring for my couple of first projects, I was first of all looking at the best quality, and for that best quality, I had to pay a little bit more than if I would have gone with a cheaper option. So that's something I agree, and if you can like afford that, so that's really great. But I was on a podcast before this, and the guy who built that company said like first you need to have the work and then you need to hire people to do the work. So most of the time like people are going to be hiring people and they don't have anything to work on, so what are they going to do as a company, or what are you going to do as a company? So these are really key important things that you mentioned over here.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things it's like paying on performance. So a lot of times you'll traditional way of paying in at least in the United States is obviously you pay per hour, right? Or you pay them a salary. When you pay people per salary or per hour, they're not incentivized to work more. They're not incentivized to do more work or to do their best. So at Refine Painting, I mean everyone gets paid on performance, right? So you get your wage, your base wage, and then you get paid performance. So our painters, for example, people say, okay, you just pay a painter hourly rate and they're good to go, right? For us, we pay our painters an hourly rate, and then if they are able to get a Google review from that customer, they get paid a certain amount of money, right? And that's for every painting crew. So now that means the business does better because now we're getting more Google reviews, so we're higher ranked on the Google platform. For our office admin, there's ways for them. She's at the office. She just calls and she still has performance pay as well. So that makes her be when people call us that she's happy because obviously she makes money as well if she sets up estimates. So I think everything in this I think is just paying on performance. It's going to make sure that everybody works harder and they are able to bring more estimates in, more repeat and referral clients. So yeah.
That's something like really amazing advice. That's something I would implement as well. So like you mentioned like you pay them on performance, like let's say they bring you a Google review, so that's something I
Yeah.
wanted to touch down later. Like you have like so many amazing 5-star reviews. So
Yeah.
like first is of course like you need to have a really good service delivery, and then what's the like second process of like getting those perfect reviews?
I think it's just making sure that you're doing the right thing. In the painting industry, it's not hard to succeed. I think the reason why is because there's so many bad painters that as long as you show up on time and you do exactly what you're going to say you're going to do, it just puts you above many of them, right? So I think that just when you're going out there with clients, you're making the estimate black and white, so showing them exactly what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, and when you do that, it allows the customer to understand exactly what you're doing. So that way, when you do finish the job and you do exactly what you said you're going to do, they're happier and they're happy. And obviously, if your painters are being nice to them, they're saying hi to them, and all this other stuff, it creates a better customer's experience. And obviously, when someone is very happy with the work, they'll just automatically leave a review. So I think everything's a cycle. As long as you do everything right in that cycle, it'll come back to you. So that's what I agree. That's what I
That's
think. Sorry.
So I was like looking at your socials, and last year at some conference you did a 3000 project giveaway, and this year you
hmm
did the same. So what's kind of like a story about that?
So the $3,000 raffle came from Justin. It was something that he recommended. He has on his program. He gives you a file where you can literally go into that file and figure out and copy all his marketing things. And the meaning behind the raffle is obviously if you're able to give away $3,000 worth of painting work, what that does is it allows you to market that $3,000, right? So like let's say for example you won and we called you and we said, hey Javier, you won, and we set up a time to come out to paint your home. Well, guess what? Now we're obviously the if you win, and we talk obviously. our job is to make sure that you're okay with, before and after photos, that you're okay with us taking videos, that you're okay with us putting a yard sign, and just like letting us know at the end your honest feedback on Google. That's how we're able to pay back for that $3,000 giveaway. Because if they win and they're happy with the work that gets done as well, where they're just going to tell their family, they're going to tell their friends and family, and then just all again, like I told you, everything in business is a cycle, right? So if they're here, they tell their friend, neighbor, other friend, and it just goes like that, and then you get more business. So it's an investment, I think.
Yep, I think so. That's an investment that most of the people out there won't be willing to take. So
Exactly.
that kind of makes you stand out like literally so easily.
Yeah.
So I was like looking more into like, let's say you have been a lot into like networking conferences, and what do you think is like a really, how did that impacted your business exactly, like networking in general?
So networking is amazing. It's something that people aren't willing to do, or they're like it's out of their comfort zone. So they're like, you know what, I'm not going to even put myself in that air in the space where I feel uncomfortable. I have a really great story on networking. So I have a good friend of mine. He has a painting company just down the road from us, and we invited him to PayCon. It was an event that Lucas Jensen had created, and he had $0. He was like negative, right? But because he saw me and another buddy of mine that we had, $1 million companies in just a few months, he went into debt. So he was negative, I think, like let's just say $1,000, right?
Yep.
And we didn't know that, right? But he went to the event. And we're like, hey, are you coming? You can come hang out with us and have dinner and all this stuff. And he's like, yes, let's do it. And I thought he had money for the whole event, right? And then I come to find out that he only said yes to us because he said, if I network with these guys, I'm going to learn two to three things to help me get to $1 million my first year in business. So he did that, and then after the event, again, he was negative, maybe let's say at this point, like $3,000 because of all the expenses. And now he hit I think his like second month in business or third month in business. He hit $122,000 in January of 2025. So $3,000 investment gave him back $122,000 worth of sales. So it's like that's networking for you, just learning a thing or two, implementing into your business, and then obviously making sure that you're consistent and that you're doing exactly what you were told to do, and it's going to change. Your business is going to change.
That's
So
a
yeah,
really impressive story actually. Like I would clip that actually. So that's
yeah, no, it's great. It's amazing, and until this day, he tells us every single day that he's thankful for us. And at the end of the day, for me, if I tell people to send me a message whenever they want, I'll reply. The thing that I hate though is when people text me and they ask for advice and then they don't do anything I told them. And then a month later, they ask me the same question, and I told them I was like, "Hey, how's it been since the last time we talked?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm waiting on this." For me, it just feels like a slap in the face, you know. So I'm always big for people who, again, remember they invest and they listen to me and they do exactly what I tell them. There's a reason why I'm telling them what I did. It's like I want them to grow. So when people actually do what they, do what they are told to do, it's just amazing. It's really fulfilling.
That's something I've noticed with general networking in general as well. Like as you said, like people reach out to you, you give them advice, and they don't implement that. I reached out to like one of the guys in the web design and marketing space. He's really big. He does like $1 million agency, runs that. So I asked him for advice, and he said like he'll give me advice. He'll answer all of my questions if I watched like two videos he sent me. If I watched an hour long podcast of that, and I can quote anything from that podcast. So and he after like I watched it, he wasn't expecting to hear back from me, right? Because
Yeah,
like he had said the same thing to other people, and no one did that. So I
yeah,
did that, and I asked him a lot of questions, and it helped me a lot. So that's something like you have to do. Like if you are asking
yeah.
someone for advice, then it's like, of course you need to do that.
Yeah, and I think you just like respect the person. If you're gonna like when I reply to people, like I have a family, I have a daughter, I have a wife. So for me, if I'm taking my time out of my day, I'm not nobody important, but it still takes me time to respond to you. So if I'm responding to you, respect. Like do if you're gonna ask for advice, do what we say, or at least just do something. Yeah.
Yep, that's amazing. And also, like as you mentioned, you have a wife and you have a daughter. Like your story is like really crazy in itself. Like because you had a newborn coming and you wasn't making any money. Like
Yeah.
I think so. That was kind of the story. Can you go a little bit into that?
Yeah, of course. So I had worked for a previous painting company locally here to Seattle as well. And I was just unhappy with myself. Again, I've always had an entrepreneur mindset in myself. So I felt miserable, being an employee. But that's just who I am. I've always felt that way since I can remember. And I was miserable, so I told my other half, her name's Erica. I said, "Hey, I think I want to quit. I think I'm ready to start my own business." A new business. And she said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "Okay, let's do it." At that point, we were, I think, 4 months pregnant or 3 months pregnant with our baby on the way. And um, so I decided to just start door knocking. And then I found Justin and I made the investment of the program. And again, I just started implementing everything. So I quit when a lot of other people would not quit. I had a baby on the way and my life was secure. I was making over 6 figures. So I was making good money. And I just quit because I wasn't happy. And I decided to start refine painting. And obviously, we put the work in. I had to put the work in just because I had a baby on the way. So I'm glad it just worked out for everybody. But yeah, that's my story when it comes to starting refine painting.
So imagine like if back then you wouldn't have take that action because like you was comfortable with where you are, like you wouldn't have been here.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I said, I told everybody that I meet that because I'm 23 years old, right? At the time when I was making 6 figures, I was like 21 or 20 years old. So anyone at my age probably would have just stayed there. It's a good. I mean, it was a good amount of money for what I did. It was just more so. It's like I just wasn't happy with myself. Even though I was making more money, I would come home mad because I was mad at myself because I know I had more. Um, I just had more to prove than to just work with someone else.
So I don't know like why I'm kind of relating to you a lot, but like that thing itself, like I don't know, like even when I close a client or maybe a client for like web design or whatnot, I'm just kind of not happy. I don't know why. It just kind of doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah,
So I
no,
think
no,
so.
exactly.
Hopefully
I
I
think
can get
it's
where you are at as well. So that should
no,
be
no,
good.
it's not all about money. I mean, I haven't made anything like crazy, like out of this world, but
Yeah.
I have made a little bit, and for me, I realized right away that money doesn't bring you happiness. I have a notebook at home. When I was 17 years old, I said if I made $100,000, I would be happy. We made it, and nothing changed in my life. I just woke up the next day as nothing happened. So I just think it just find things that fulfill you. For me, what find me that fulfill me is like the guy that I told you, his name is Randy, and he did exactly what we told him, and he was able to change his life. That's what that's what keeps me going.
Yep. So
You know?
like yeah, money is one part of the equation. Money can allow you to like have more time to do things what you love. Because like most people just think like, oh, like having a lot of money will solve all of their problems or like all of their madness or maybe
Yeah,
depression will go away. But unfortunately when you get that money, like I realized this like not long ago. When you get that money, you will not be happy, like you will still have like all of the feelings you have. You will actually need to find something to fulfill yourself, and if you don't,
yeah,
then obviously you will be just making bunch of money and nothing uh, like fulfilling at heart.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the biggest things. Trying to kind of go based off what I was saying earlier is at Refine Painting, I'm Hispanic, so my family's from Mexico. And one of the things, and we had a very humble beginning. I grew up in Section 8 housing, so it's like government homes. And for me, one of the things when I started Refine Painting is I want to make sure everybody makes a livable wage. What that means is I want to make sure that everybody who looks like me, who has a similar background to me, has opportunity of making over 6 figures, right? So part of Refine Painting is I pay my guys very well, and I'm like I feel very confident in my pay. We never have an issue when it comes to pay, and I emphasize that because I wanted things to be that way, so that way they can leave work, and if they're getting paid a lot of money, Javier, they're going to be able to take their family out to dinner, to have new new memories with their family that they probably wouldn't have been able to have if they were making 30, $40,000. So that for me brings me fulfillment because I remember that when I made good money or I went ahead and was able to take my family out to dinner, travel more, like just a bunch more things. So that changed me and my family. So if I'm able to do that for other people, that brings me more fulfillment than anything else. So yeah,
That's something I relate to as well. Like, honestly, I have a guy with me as well. Like, he's just starting out and he's also like getting into web design and all of that stuff. So he's
yeah,
also like learning from me. But I'm not saying like I'm the expert or maybe I'm really good at what I do. I'm just kind of decent at what I do, and I've been able to get good results as well. So he's learning from me, and one day suddenly he said to me like bro, in our local language, like what you are like literally telling me is like free mentorship for me, and I'm really grateful for that. And that day I was like suddenly kind of, because for me it was I wasn't like just for me it wasn't that I am teaching it. It was for me like I'm just giving him some advice here and there, and to him that meant a lot. So that kind of
yeah,
like changed the switch in me, and I had a really different perspective. And that's kind of like what I want to do in the future as well, hopefully. So like a lot
yeah.
of things from to learn from you as well.
Yeah, no, of course. I think, but it's also mindset too. Like the guy that you're talking about, I don't know his name, but he's very smart because he understands, okay, I need to put the work in right now so I can benefit off of it later. A lot of people, they like, we even get some people who come and apply for refined painting and they come in and their resume is like very, like they don't have any background, they don't have any experience, and then they want to get paid a lot of money but they don't want to put the work in. Like I tell a lot of people, people see me now, right? And they're like, "Oh my God, Jose, like how'd you do it?" Right? Or like, your luck, or they throw around the word luck. For me, they don't see the stuff that I was doing on the back end. If anyone who knows me personally knows that I was reading a book a week, Javier, a book a week. And most books are 250 pages to 300 pages. So I had to read 50 pages a day, whether like before I went to work, and I did that for like many years, but people, they don't see that, right? They only see they see Jose start his business and oh my God, you're like Jose, congrats, you're like so lucky to start your business. I'm like, no, it's like I put the work in. I needed to read all those books so I can have knowledge for where I'm at right now in business. So yeah, so I think it's just mindset, understanding that you need to put the work in, so later you can grape the success later.
That's something I wanted to touch down as well. Like, what made you start that like reading a book in a week challenge? Like, what was some goal behind it?
So Alex Ramosi, I'm not sure if you're aware of who he is, but Alex
I
Ramosi
know
is
about
a
it.
really, yeah, he's very successful. And one of the biggest things, I was watching his stuff when I was like 16 years old, 16, 17 years old. And one of the things, one of his videos that really like always stuck with me is if you're young and you want to be able to be successful, and most people who are successful are a little bit older, right? Well, if it took them 10 years to learn this much of knowledge, you can learn that knowledge in this amount of time if you put this much worth of hours into this much time. So what that means is pretty much like if these guys are reading, let's say for example, let's create an analogy of books, right? If the person who has success, they read 10 books, let's say a year, well, you finish 10 books in like 2 months, right? And if you do that, it's going to make you grow faster and you're going to just fast line through all the success just because you're implementing a lot of work into a short amount of time. So that was kind of my thought process when reading a book a week is like, if I read X amount of books in the next 2 years, I'm going to be able to be in a place where someone who is maybe double my age will be just because I put a lot of work in. So yeah, that was kind of why I wanted to read a book a week.
That's amazing. I see like you're huge into like personal development. Like, was it way before you started your business, or that's something you went with business, or how did that work?
So percent development for me has been huge as far as reading and mindset. Right now, I don't have the body that I want to have, right? So I got to work on that side of things, my fitness, and because fitness is also part of your personal development.
Yep.
But for the knowledge and obviously being understanding business has always been a thing for me. So I have an older brother. He's about 6 years older than me, I think, or five. And I've always hung out around him and his friends and family, or not family, but friends. And obviously, when you're the younger kid, you want to make sure that you fit in, so you learn things fast, so you can fit in. So for me, I've always understood that, if you learn things and you're able to catch up with people who are in rooms that you want to be in, that you have to kind of like, you have to think faster, you have to do things faster, and you just have to come with a lot more like hunger than the most. So I've always been huge on that stuff. And then one of the biggest things that always sticks to me is Mark Cuban, who's a billionaire. He says that you want to work 24/7 as if someone is wanting to steal your business. And that's huge because a lot of people, they make a little bit of money and then they'll become complacent, and then they'll be like, oh, we sold that much, we can lay our foot off the gas. But it's like, no, you got to work like the guy down the street is working to steal your business. So I think for me, that's like just something that I'm always focused on. So a lot of people, I work more harder than all of our guys on our team, and I work harder than a lot of other guys who are salespeople for other teams. And the reason why is because I know where I want to be, and I know that I need to work hard now and keep working hard to get to where I'm at, where I want to be. So yeah,
And the thing with, like, if let's say you have made a lot of money this month and you are just okay with it, like you are just celebrating or maybe just taking your time off and like just chilling around. So the next month you will not be in the same position. Like you will
yeah,
either blow away all the money and you will, like, first of all lose all of your discipline. So
yeah,
even if you make that money, you need to be still have the foot on the gas, so that way you can also keep getting more money. And also, like, you need to be disciplined if you want to
yeah.
scale or maybe you want to grow. Like, if you don't, then that's completely fine, then obviously this is not for you. But if you're not okay with it, then you cannot like rest.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, being disciplined is huge. I'm very, very disciplined. I think that's what's another attribute that's allowed me to get to where I'm at right now. So I'm very disciplined. If I need to be somewhere, I'll be there. If I need to do something, I'll do it. Like that's something that I'm very, very good at. Since consistency is also huge. There's a lot of painting companies or people just in general businesses that do really good one month, and then obviously the next month they don't sell anything. And to be honest with you, it happened to me. When I first started refined painting, we made in July, we made $316,000. For me, that was like, holy shit, that was a lot of money, right? We were only supposed to make $122,000 a month, and we doubled that, almost tripled that number. So guess what happened in September and August? We only sold, I think, 60 or $75,000, or no, I think it was 65. Sorry, not 75, $65,000, and it happened to me. So what happened after August is September, October, and November months were bigger than we had in June and May because I was getting complacent with the numbers. So I'm trying to tell you is obviously just be consistent and disciplined. Don't fall into the habit, and if you do, realize that that happened to you, and then work yourself out of it. So yeah,
Yep, that's a huge part of it. Like if you are
yeah.
not consistent, then obviously you'll obviously make some money and lose it all. And like as you said, like I think so this is another beauty of like starting younger age. Like you made those mistakes and you are now implementing on those and you are improving on those as well. So like a little bit of last question, like looking back, like it's been an amazing journey for you. So what do you think, will you change differently, or maybe what are the skills you will learn, invest more in?
So I think one of the things that took me a while to understand, I didn't understand until probably this summer, was really investing in yourself. So I always knew like, yeah, invest into yourself, but I was so scared to invest in myself. So what really changed my mindset was I went to an Andy Elliott event, and for me, I had just paid the entry level like package. I was like, you know what? As long as I'm there, I don't need to be right up front to kind of learn what I'm going to learn if I'm sitting all the way in the back. And the thing is, invest in yourself. Because when you invest into a higher ticket for Andy Elliott, obviously you get more things out of it. Like you get to go to dinners, you get to just do a bunch of other stuff. And the key is to invest in those higher ticket like packages so you can be around those people. Remember what we said about networking? Even if you learn one thing, it'll pay yourself back. So I would say just really investing in yourself. An issue that we had, for example, that we're going through right now at Refine Painting is branding. So this is our current brand right now. If I would have just spent $30,000, which is what it's costing me right now to rebrand, I would have saved that $30,000 in the beginning, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is like, and the reason why I didn't do this because for me it was like, oh my God, that's $30,000 I don't have. So now like I'm having to do things twice. So I'm trying to say is invest the money when it needs to be invested, take the risk on yourself, and then go all in. A lot of people fail to go all in. That's why you see a lot of people who have like side businesses or small businesses is because they don't go all in, and they let the fear affect them. And that's the biggest thing that affects a lot of business owners is fear. That's it, fear. And what people have to understand is like, oh, I'm just scared it won't work. But if it doesn't work, that's fine. You try, right? Or else you're gonna die like without knowing what would have been if you would have taken that risk. So I think to kind of answer that is take more risk, invest in myself, and don't let the fear overtake take my mind. So that way I can succeed in the way I need to succeed.
Like that's amazing, all of you what you have said. Do you know what's the biggest enemy of your like business plan?
Sorry.
Do you know like what's the biggest enemy of your business plan?
I would say my business plan, the way that I do things, what's my biggest enemy? My biggest enemy is, I would say, the negative thoughts. The negative thoughts is kind of what affects it affects all of us, no matter who you talk to. If they say it never affects them, they're lying to you. So just making sure that when I'm thinking about something like a goal, like for example, our revenue goal, and saying like, shoot, do you think I should hit? Can I hit that? And it's like, yes, you can. Just go out there and do it. And I think that was the biggest thing for me is just figuring out that not to let the negative thoughts come in.
For
Yeah,
me, like it's having a plan B and having a
yeah,
second option. Like if you are not going, as you said, like most people have these small businesses, they will run on the side or maybe side hustles, but like you haven't gone all in on what you can do as a full time, or maybe you could even change life, impact lives. Then how can you like run these businesses and be
yeah,
successful with that? So if you are not going all in on one thing, then for me that's like killing it right away, right at the
yeah,
start.
exactly.
Yep. So
Yeah.
like that's all for me. And like honestly, Jose, it was a really amazing conversation, and like hopefully somebody find this valuable.
Yeah, no, I hope it's able to go to someone or that it's able to come across someone's page. My biggest thing my last thing that I want to end this with is um, I was the guy that asked questions. Like you said, you message people who are where you want to be and you ask them for advice. If they give it to you, great. If they don't give it to you, just keep asking. Don't let that affect you from stopping from stopping someone and asking them for advice. And ask as many questions you can possibly do. A lot of people are scared to ask questions because they might think they're dumb. For me, it took me a while, but I just started asking questions, like even if it was dumb. And for me, it's because you may never know, like you might learn something or two. So my advice to the person who's watching this is if you're starting your business and you're like Jose, or I just want to grow. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm scared. My family's counting on me. It just literally asking questions people in your area that have successful businesses and learning a thing or two. And you never know, they might be able to help you out and refer business to you. So I would just say connect with local contractors and learn as much as you can. So yeah, that's what I'd like to end it with.